What is up? Coming to you live from the Cat House, once again in Montebello, California. It's time for Dre's Geek Philosophy Podcast, the Monday edition, the June 22nd edition, the day after Father's Day edition, the day after my wife and I's first wedding anniversary. It was a year ago yesterday. The summer solstice. I have the luxury of knowing when our wedding anniversary is just by knowing the summer solstice. Ryan and Art, two of our three patrons, checking in. All three patrons! Yes! Ryan, Art, and Daniel. All three of my boys. Thank you for checking in today. All three. Thank you guys. The most loyal and ardent supporters of the show. Checking right in here. I was gonna start on time, but I had to sit and put together the show at the last second. Art, I know you sent me a bunch of stuff. I'm gonna try to use as much of it as I can. But we're gonna lead off the show. Yeah, yesterday was my first Father's Day, and it was and thanks to my wonderful wife, it was. I don't know how you're gonna top this Father's Day. It's like my first Father's Day, I think is my best Father's Day. Short of in a few years when my little guy can draw a little Father's Day card for me, and once he's able to do that, I think that'll be the next time it will come close to this Father's Day. My wife went all out for Father's Day. She got me an awesome like a little pressure cooker, air fryer thing, because I love to cook. She loves to eat what I cook. And she's trying to make things easier for us, especially in light of our wonderful little boy over there. We need to cook faster, and that's why you use one of those pressure cookers, those kind of Instapot-ish kind of things. But not only, I would have been ecstatic. I mean, I didn't need a gift. I'm not a person who needs gifts, but I would have been ecstatic just there. No. Beyond that, she got, if you go to our Instagram or if you go to our Instagram or our Facebook page. There's a photo of I had a Batman shirt, and little Tiger had a Robin onesie. It was Batman and Robin. I was like, oh, amazing, over the moon. And then she also got me a cutting board with Dada etched right into it. That's right, it's Dada's cutting board. Again, the cooking, because I love to cook. I should start a YouTube cooking channel, or something. Yeah, see, Daniel Wong says, Instapots are amazing. They turn a frozen brick of chicken into amazing in 10 to 15 minutes. That's crazy pants. That's good. One of the people at Trader Joe's telling me that the orange chicken, we can just toss it into the air fryer and boom, it'll just instantly do it instead of me standing there walking it up. Nice. Although I'm weird, I don't mind the process of cooking, but I guess if it speeds things up for us, we're still freshly minted parents. The young man over there is 5 months and 3 quarters, soon to be 6 months in a week or two. But yeah, so she got the personalized cutting board, but no, that was not the end. She had been giving me these gifts throughout the month because as far as my wife was concerned, it was Father's Month because she appreciates Dad, and I appreciate my mama bear here. I love her so much. She got me a customized book where it's literally. I wasn't sure if I was gonna put it on camera, but she got me this customized book. On Facebook, it's going to be backwards. I'm sorry, but when Tiger grows up, and so there's an approximation of our little boy, what he's going to look like, right there. There's a website apparently, hoorayheroes.com. You can go get this made, and in here, I was legit crying. I was crying reading this little intro. I was just bawling, but. I tripped balls at this. This you guys can see this right here. Look at this ridiculousness. Look, I'm in the book, and then my little boy is just the rest of the book. This little, obviously she made him look like a tiny me, and the whole book is just Tiger nonstop, and these adorable little stories. And my wife, you pick them all out specifically. All these adorable little stories. Look, there's a little tiger dressed up like Albert Einstein. He's gonna be maybe he's gonna want to be a scientist, or he's gonna be a little cook like his dada. Look at this. This is amazing. Look at that. Little tiger playing sports. Just awesome. Just, well, maybe he's going to be an artist like his grandpa. Look at that. Look, that little boy. That little man. And then right there, and then like our usual, like right here, one of the last images is our usual position somewhere between 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. is me on the chair with my boy. That just like warmed my heart. I just couldn't, like, that's how we usually are in the mornings. Me and him, he's half asleep and I'm rocking him. That way Mama can get a little extra sleep in the morning. Like this morning, woke up 6:30 in the morning. He stirred. I'm like, all right, let's go, kid. Change his diaper. He's still sleepy. Bring him to the front room. Rock him to sleep. Let Mama sleep an extra hour and a half. Look, when Tiger grows up, Daddy Edition. I was gone, crying, happy tears. I was just out of my mind when I got this. It's just thank you, wife. I couldn't say it enough yesterday. Like I said, it's like first Father's Day, like my best father. Then on top of that, not only was it Father's Day, but as I mentioned at the top, it was our first wedding anniversary. It's been a year, and honestly, the fastest year of our lives. I still vividly remember our wedding day. It doesn't seem like it was a year. It seems like it seems like, oh, it was just a few months ago, but then a few months ago was the birth. And so much was packed into this year. The pregnancy, the birth, and then coronavirus. We've been trapped here. You've been trapped here for the last 2-3 months. And this young man, we had a very eventful first year. Oh, you calling for one of us, or are you just being silly there, young man? All right, you want me to walk over there and pick him up, or you're okay? All right. So, and then, yeah, obviously, I'm burying the lead here. Yeah, well, last week, if you guys were here last week, my wife was. She's here now. She's okay. She was in the hospital. Like we did the impromptu show, real short form show, where my wife had an appendectomy this past Monday. She didn't feel well. Went to the hospital. We took her there. She got popped out. Now she's okay, but now she can't pick up the tiger for a couple weeks. So I have to either always be around, or our wonderful, or Rose's wonderful mother has been here helping us out. So that way I can get to work and continue to earn money. Because, the bills still need to get paid. But wife is okay. She's still recovering. But she's doing good. Trying to make sure she heals up good. Are we bringing... Grandma's picking up the tiger and bringing him a little bit closer. So, that's what... Then so, like, last week, was an abbreviated show. We just talked about E3. So, something I didn't get to talk about last week was... the week before so these past few weeks there was no E3, so a lot of announcements have just been going on randomly on the internet. People just announce there's stuff just going up on the YouTubes and going up on all over the place. So I didn't talk about the PlayStation 5. So the PlayStation 5 was announced though the week before last, and I didn't really talk about it. So I'm going to talk about it a little bit right here and some of the implications of that system announcement. So we found out it's coming out. We don't really know the price. It's going to be expensive. That's all that's important. I'm sure it's going to be more than people expect because it's fancy schmancy. And the graphics, I've discussed this with several people over the last 2 weeks, and we see that the jump that we had from N64, PS1 to like PS2 and GameCube. That was a really sizable jump. Or even going like Super Nintendo, Genesis to PlayStation 1 and N64. That was a huge jump, going from 2D to 3D in a lot of cases. But each of these subsequent jumps have been what's the best way I can say? Oh, Ryan Tucker says, "Welcome home, Rosa."
Thank you.
And Art says, "Happy to have you back, Rosa." Everyone's catching again the time delay between what I say and what I read here. It shows up, and so we have this PS5 coming out, and the jump between PS4 to PS5. I guess the best tweet I saw was like when they showed the sports game NBA 2K20 or 2K21 or whatever is going to come out. It's where young Zion Williamson was being shown, and he was incredibly sweaty. I think that's how they always do the sports games. Oh, okay, let's show every single molecule of sweat. This is what we can do with this advanced technology. The jump, the visual jump, it's not as dramatic as it used to be. Where they showed the Ratchet and Clank trailer. That was one of the first games they showed. It looked like prettier. It's pretty. It isn't like, oh my god, mind blowing. When I first saw Tekken Tag Tournament PS2, it was like, oh my god, we have arcade quality games at home. That's how I felt in the year 2000, 20 years ago, when the PS2 came out. But now, like 20 years later, now we have this next generational jump. And yeah, and honestly, the jump from PS3 to PS4, it was a sizable jump, but it wasn't as big as the previous one. And now that's what we're running into this term that I've said before many times on the show. It's called we've reached the uncanny valley, where when technology tries to replicate real life, the closer we get to trying to create real life, the weirder it's gonna look. It's like you think you're getting closer, but that valley is just so deep you can't cross it. And that's where I feel we reached. The trailer for Resident Evil 8, or Resident Evil Village, whatever you want to call it, where they hit the 8 in VILL 8. Yeah, the frame rate. Yeah, see, the frame rates are not noticeable. Yeah, the only noticeable difference is the frame rate. I remember when Art, you and I were playing Destiny at the same time. When I upgraded my television, I had like a 720p television, and I upgraded to a full HD 1080p TV with a freaking I remember I felt the game was moving faster once I got a TV with a better refresh rate and all the other nonsense. But I remember that was a significant difference just there. But that's something where I was playing Destiny 8 hours a day. If anything changed, I would notice immediately because of the amount of Destiny I was consuming at the time. But I can't imagine, I'm sure Destiny 2 will be on PS5 as well. It's just going to be shinier. Do I use smoothing while gaming? It depends, especially if I'm playing like an older, something I had intended to do this past weekend was hook up my old, I just got my PS3 back from the shop, and I was going to hook up my PS3 and pop in Parasite Eve. I was going to just go back and put in a PS1 game, because I can go into block hell, polygon hell. Yeah, see, I would always go to art. No, smoothing, no, because yeah, it adds delay for shooters. So when I was playing Destiny or The Division or any of those shooting games, Overwatch, yeah, you would not turn on the smoothing. Yay, loud neighbors here, yay. I wouldn't turn it on, but now I feel like the difference between the PS4 and PS5, it's not going to be as significant as the previous jumps. Yeah, I know, right? Isn't that something to be concerned about, Tiger? I'm sure. Yeah, and then the other big thing with this PS5 is like they're putting out, and and a lot of people have noticed this big difference, where they're putting out a physical version. There's two versions of the PS5 coming out. Where there's going to be one with a physical disc drive to put in physical games, and then one that's going to be all digital. Did you need me to do something with him? Yeah. Okay. So the digital one is particularly concerning to me, especially in my field of business currently, where I work at a giant video game warehouse where we sell physical games, and we've talked about it ad nauseum on the show, and we're going to keep on talking about it till the end of time. Publishers, I don't know about how developers feel, but publishers want to go all digital. Oh yeah, and publishers want all digital badly because they want to cut out the middleman where I work, or they want to cut out retail. They want to cut out GameStop, and it's funny because Jai had posted something right before the show about how GameStop reacting to the all digital PS5s. Like, no, it's going to be the end of us. And of course, those of us who've worked at GameStop, yes, we will not mourn the death of GameStop, but as I've said on several episodes before, the implications of GameStop going away, it will do more shockingly, it will do more harm than good to physical game industry. Like the actual game industry, ooh, I don't know. If you're an old man like me who prefers to have the physical disc, because digital media rights are very nebulous and very fluid. Your ability to buy video games is continually changing thanks to the internet. I remember where I had to explain to Sam Zia the old end user agreement that we all agree to. Now it was not they could not enforce it during the from NES all the way through the PlayStation 2, but going forward from PS3 and Xbox 360 forward, as long as we could connect our consoles to the internet, now the companies can enforce all that wall of text that you agree to every time you play a video game. And in that wall of text, there's a lot of things they can sneak by you because no one reads the end user agreement. No one reads the terms and services when you play a game. No one's gonna sit there and lawyer their way through however many pages. And honestly, the publishers, they count on the fact that nobody reads the terms of service or the end user agreement. And that's honestly my biggest concern with all digital gaming, because you could pay full price for it. It's not even the whole used game thing where you buy a game, oh, I can't resell it. We've always just been purchasing licenses. That's what we've been buying. Like you go back and look at if you happen to have an old NES manual to any of the games, you look in the back little tiny. Oh, see right there, Ryan. You see, you make a point that I was going to lead to. Like movies, a lot of people are learning the hard way. Like, oh, your movie collections are very dependent on contracts. Oh, with whether see Ryan, you have a Amazon. I have Movies Anywhere, where like I've always I purchased a Blu-ray with the digital copy. A lot of people just buy the digital copy. Like I like to have my physical Blu-ray because just in case if I don't have the internet. What if the internet goes down? Oh, or what if suddenly Movies Anywhere loses Disney? All those movies those digital copies that I have on the Movies Anywhere app, poof, gonzo. I have to go sign up with something else to maybe get those back or have access back to those. The movie industry right now is a really good preview of what could potentially happen with the game industry if everything goes digital. Because now people are just especially now during the pandemic, everything's going, oh, I'm just going to stream it. I'm just going to watch it on Netflix or Amazon Prime, or I'm just going to buy a digital copy on my Apple TV or my Google device or my Google Play. And yeah, you can buy it. Oh yeah, it's way cheaper. I can get my movie for what, $15, or later on they're on sale. It's only on sale for $6. And then you think you own, and a lot of people are mistakenly thinking that they own the movie. You don't own the movie. You don't, like when you bought a VHS, when you bought a DVD, and even recently if you bought a Blu-ray, you bought the movie. You have the movie. As long as you have a device that can play the movie, you technically own a copy of the movie. But with the digital movies, you don't own it. You bought a license. That's what sports teams have been trying to do for years with their seats. You're not buying a season ticket. You're buying a personal seat license. You have a license for this seat right here and this seat right here, and you have the privilege of buying tickets. You're not buying the tickets with your personal seat. Like you're buying a license for a seat, and you have the opportunity to purchase tickets for the events to sit in this specific seat. That's the most advanced form of this license. Where we're gonna get, I feel like that's where we're getting to. Where people who play cell phone games, that's the advanced. That's where all the console publishers, they want to get to that point where like, all right, here's the game, keep buying things in the game. Pay to win, pay to continue. Takes us all the way back to the arcade. Keep putting quarters in. But this time it's like, oh, don't want to wait for a timer. If they can get away, if the console publishers can get away with making you buy more. Right now, one of the most successful games, Grand Theft Auto 5, going back to that Sony announcement, I'm sure a lot of people were very confused as to why Grand Theft Auto 5, why a game that is from PlayStation 3, a PS3 game that continued on into PS4. They made PS4 versions. It still sells very well. Over at my job, we still sell a lot of copies of Grand Theft Auto 5. And it's going to continue, apparently. The first game they showed in the Sony press conference was Grand Theft Auto 5's coming to the PS5. And I'm sure many people wondered, why? Why would this game, which is going to be 10 years old, possibly, yeah, almost 10 years old, continue? Because there's a generation of gamers who play this game and are more than happy to convert their real life money into digital money. You could buy money for Grand Theft Auto Online. 8 years. Thank you, Art. Art filling in for Iceberg, aka Kiat Fam, our corrections and retractions. 8 years, and I'm sure Rockstar. That's why there's not going to be a Grand Theft Auto 6 anytime soon. They're raking in so much money. They've kind of put out a game that's doing the kind of mobile model where it just keeps making money. For whatever reason, the younger, I keep saying, like, people under 30, I want to say under 30. If you're a lot of gamers under 30, and especially the younger, gaming is a lot more disposable. There's no physical attachment, where like older gamers like myself, if you're like over 30, or especially if you're over 35 or in the 40s like me, where you have this attachment to physical, where like, I need the disc, I need the cartridge, I need to have the thing so I can put it in the thing so I can play it. Nowadays, kids, they don't care. I'll download the Fortnite, download GTA, download Apex Legends, download. It's kind of turning into Second Life. It's this weird thing where yeah, exactly. It's turning into Second Life. Remember when that was all the rage a long time ago when we were young? Yeah, it's insane. So this GTA 5 is like this best example of this is what publishers want. They want to create things that just churn. They want churning. They want to churn money out of people. That's the end game. That churn. Just keep getting money out of people. And some Rockstar using the Grand Theft Auto brand they've been building for over 20 years, going all the way back to PlayStation 1, the crappy little top-down Grand Theft Auto. I remember getting that game, and me and my friends, we'd enter in all the codes, we'd have all the weapons, and we'd try to get the 5 stars. And this is old PlayStation 1 top-down. I'm like, this is a funny, weird game. And then when Grand Theft Auto 2, whatever. And then Part 3 came out on the PS2, and that blew everyone's minds. So like, and they've been building that brand ever since. They did 3, and they did Vice City, and then they did San Andreas. San Andreas, amazing. And then when they moved on to the PS3, like, Grand Theft Auto 4. And realistically, I think that was the only GTA they put out. I mean, and they did some expansions, The Lost in the Damned, The Ballad of Gay Tony, and that became the episodes of Liberty City. And they realized, they can keep getting more. And I think that was the first Grand Theft Auto Online when they put out Part 5 later on. I was wrong. This is the only Grand Theft Auto 4. And then they moved on to Grand Theft Auto 5 near the end of the PS3 and Xbox 360 life cycle. And they created GTA Online, which a lot of people love to do whatever, wherever. So Rockstar and Take-Two, they've created this perfect model. So now all these other publishers, they see this, and now if we go to full digital, they're trying to find ways to just take from you. I need to go back to my original point. This is so much easier when I have a podcast partner to stop me when I go off on these tangents. Kind of tough right now with the pandemic to get a podcast cohort. I would have loved to enlist Jai to come down and talk about all this. But the original point I wanted to get to, like, a lot of these games, you buy it digitally, you don't get to keep it. You get to keep it in GTA 5. You get to keep that forever as long as it keeps making money. But if you buy a different game, and let's say it doesn't make money, let's say, let me make a current generation example that I think Art will understand. There was a game put out by Gearbox called Battleborn. It was supposed to be a very a counter to to Overwatch. I was like, oh, Gearbox like, oh, we can do Overwatch. We have this cool game named Battleborn. Like you pay the $60, and you can jump online and you pick a bunch of different heroes and you can battle each other. If you were to go get yourself a physical copy of Battleborn right now, and you would try to play it, more than likely you cannot, because those servers are gone. If you had bought that game, you can't play it anymore. You have a physical disc, but it's an online-only game. See, Overwatch still going because that's still making money. But if you put your chips in the wrong pool, suddenly you end up with a useless disc. Apparently, Evolve has a single player. Evolve has a single player mode that you could play, but Battleborn, that was all multiplayer. I'm pretty sure Evolve, because we still sell Evolve at work. We definitely don't sell Battleborn. I think only collectors who want to complete Xbox One collection or buy some of our copies of Battleborn here and there. But yeah, there's all these online only games that are created. You buy a disc, you install it in your, and you pay full price, and it's taken away when it stops making money. And I think that's something a lot of people don't realize or don't fathom. And in the case I was discussing with Art and a bunch of my gaming friends in our little gaming chat that we have, the younger generation doesn't care. All right, cool. They've already moved on to the next game they want to play, not caring that they just had so much money taken from them. And oh wait, what do you mean I can't play this game anymore? It's ridiculous. I had that experience. There was a game I downloaded on the PS4. It was like Marvel Heroes. It was a Marvel Heroes game that came out that played like Diablo. Thankfully, I didn't put any money into it. I put time into it. But then the developer and the publisher lost the license and they shut down the game. I put in some time into it. I leveled up Iron Man as far as, or I worked to unlock Iron Man in the game. But it was just, if I had put money into the game, I would have been furious. I was already disappointed at the game just taken away. It's like, oh, we have to sunset this game because we lost the license. Sorry, all digital game. But guess what? There's no single player mode. You can't keep playing it. Good night and goodbye. That's what I don't like about this digital evolution that we're moving towards. Some people say, oh, I saw on Twitter, one of my favorite Twitter follows was talking about, like, he was joking about people who still buy physical games. Like, no, you just have a hard drive, get a bigger hard drive, and you can store everything on there. But a lot of people don't, I guess, maybe it's just the way my brain works. I'm like, it's a systemic thing where you think forward to what could potentially happen. Like, hey, if I want to go back and play any of my GameCube games, or if I want to play any of my Super Nintendo games or whatever, I can always just fire it up. As long as my old-ass console still works, I can still keep playing it. My PS2 games, or even to a lesser extent, my PS3 and my Xbox. As long as those are still running, or PS3 on Xbox, if it's an online game, then it's a crapshoot. Maybe you can play some of them online. Who knows? I'm sure. I don't know if there's still Halo servers still up. I imagine Microsoft still maintains a few. I don't know if it's only for the Master Chief Collection. But I can buy a lot of these old games knowing that, I can still play them. And part and parcel, right now, if you go shopping for old games right now, it's insane. Because I don't know if it's just people might be realizing this, or if it's just a wave of nostalgia, or older people like me, older gamers are realizing, are bored at home and they want to just play some old shit. One of my coworkers today was showing me the pricing for a lot of old GameCube games and a lot of old PS2 games and a lot of Xbox games. The market for a lot of older, we're not that far removed. I guess realistically we're 15 to 20 years removed from that generation. But a lot of those games, especially on the GameCube side, a copy of Super Mario Sunshine is going for $150. Mario Superstar Baseball was like $90. It was like, I was aghast at some of this stuff. Like Gauntlet Dark Legacy, $150. I was like, what? And my coworker, he showed me, like, oh yeah, this game, this Goblin Commander game. Like he sold at his little, he has a little booth at Frankenson's, and he sold it for like 20-30 bucks not that long ago. It's going for 90 now. Like, I don't know if it's just a realization. It's like, oh, I can still play these old games. You buy some games today, you don't know if you're gonna still be able to play them in a year or 2 years. Maybe sports fans, they kind of maybe know, like, you have this, window that you can play the game online. As long as there's still single player modes, you can do a campaign. I mean, I can pop in my old NBA Live 95 into my Sega Genesis and play an 82 game season with Dominique Wilkins and the Clippers if I want to amuse myself. But a lot of modern stuff, maybe you can't. And that's the big fear I've had with digital games. And it's happening with movies, and it's going to be happening from here on out. Case in point, something else. Well, we're going to transition into a short subject here. Something I saw right before where I jumped on here. Apparently, 30 Rock. They're going to remove 4 episodes from Hulu and Netflix. I'm not sure if it's still on Netflix. Hulu and Peacock, I'm sure. You won't be able to buy these 4 episodes on iTunes or wherever you can, or on Google. You won't be able to buy. They're at the request of Tina Fey and Robert Carlock, the producers of 30 Rock. They're having 4 episodes removed because of some racial insensitivity. Where I believe 2 of the episodes, Jane Krakowski, Jenna Maroney's character, was in blackface. There's another episode where John Hamm was in blackface. And in the 4th episode, speculated there's some very unsavory racial language in it, and I just wanted to bring that up. I just saw that it brings it to my point. I'm like, those episodes, like, if you don't have the DVDs, they no longer exist. You can't find them. I being a big fan of 30 Rock, I have the DVDs, so I can see John Hamm in blackface yell out banjo and get throttled to death by Tracy Morgan. But it's just like, again, this kind of to further support the point. This is all digital. Like, one of my friends who works in home entertainment, I remember he gave me that warning, like, where I was like, oh, I'm gonna stop buying TV box sets because I can just watch them all on Netflix or Hulu. And he's like, no, he's like, don't stop. Don't stop buying TV. Like, if there's a show you really like, you make sure you go out there and you buy that box set, and you get them all, and you hang on to them. And I was like, you're just saying that because you work in an industry where you're hawking home entertainment. But now I look at this and, like, he's not wrong with the way stuff moves around into other services, and now stuff getting erased, stuff doesn't come back anymore. If you don't have the physical media, it's gone. It could just disappear. Yeah, and Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, she plays a Native American. She just I think it's just their brand of comedy. I think that episode where she plays a black person, I think she was just doing it to spite Tracy Morgan's character, Tracy Jordan. They're trying to do some, it's highbrow humor rolled in lowbrow humor. That's always been the way I describe 30 Rock, especially. And then the John Hamm blackface. They were showing how bad television was for minorities in the past, because it was a take on that kind of like that honeymooners era television. But yeah, in light of everything that's going on today, I don't blame them, because it's NBC. I was like, no, I think Tina Fey and Robert Carlock, the producers, were like, you know what, we can't leave this up. But if you have the DVDs, I'm sure you can throw them up on YouTube and catch yourself a content warning. But we're gonna close today, and the subject it's weirdly it's sensitive, it's uncomfortable. If you're a wrestling fan of any measure, or like if you're really on Twitter, this past week has been a very intense week, where a lot of especially I think it's more on the independent scene currently right now than on the majors, but we're finding out a lot of independent wrestlers are scumbags. There's a lot of women, a lot of female wrestlers, a lot of female professional wrestling fans have been coming out all week. You go, I'm not. I'm not sure what spurred this on. I'm glad it's been spurred on because it's a pro wrestling, and apparently also as Art is telling me, this has also been happening in video game streaming and in other entertainment avenues, that a lot of abusers and these bad, terrible humans who take advantage of women are being outed all over the place right now. They're and it's really for us, for myself and my wife, it's been pretty crazy because thanks to my wife, we've been working some local independent show. We've worked at Lucha Vavoom several times in the last year or so. We go to the Mayan over here. We see a lot of independent wrestlers, and apparently one of the wrestlers who's he's been implicated a lot. I've seen on Twitter he's the Harvey Weinstein of independent wrestling or professional wrestling. Many of you may have seen clips of him. It's this guy named Joey Ryan. We're because Rosa and I are particularly disturbed because we thought he was a fun guy. We've gone to he has his own, or he had, I should say, his own promotion that ran out here in LA and ran in Baldwin Park. He ran a local promotion called Bar Wrestling, and Rosa and I, we went to one of those shows. She was a fan of him even before she knew me, and you may have seen this guy. He's trended several times because he's the guy who flips people with his penis. He's that penis. He's has lots of shirts that say "famous penis wrestler." He's made a lot of money being crude, and it turns out that he's a bit of a monster. With this many allegations, it's like you can't have. There's a lot of unsavory wrestling fans who are saying these are all, oh man, look at all these liars coming out, or why did you wait? There's a lot of shitty people out there. It's really rough out there. I'm finding it harder to say I'm a fan of professional wrestling now than I was when I was a kid, when everybody was screaming at me that it was fake. I used to take a lot of flack for that, but right now it's honestly kind of uncomfortable. And to round back to my first point, it's like Rosa and I, we'd see this guy at Lucha Vavoom. He was a regular because he fit in perfect in his character fit in perfectly for the sex and violence that Lucha Vavoom is, and they book because he's a local guy. Hell, I don't know how long he's gonna be, but he lives right here in Temple City. I found that out working at Lucha Vavoom. He lives right in Temple City. Back when I was a driving instructor, I think I drove by his house. After the fact, I found out. I probably drove by where he lives thousands of times when I was teaching kids how to drive. And it just, I keep seeing this story. I'm going on Twitter. Every time I go on Twitter now, I've just been seeing this stuff, and I sit and I read all these stories. Like there's a lot of there's somewhere north. There's like 40 different wrestlers that are like being they're getting called out for being shitty. They're like some other wrestlers that we really like are getting shit thrown at them, and it's not looking good for the majority of them. The entire NXT UK for WWE. Apparently, a lot of those guys are dirtbags. There's a lot of stories over there, and I'm seeing. And what's really been breaking my heart, I'm seeing a lot of the prominent female professional wrestlers. Some of them are telling their stories, and some of them are like they can't bring themselves to tell stories of the abuse or the potential or the attacks or the rapes or any of this stuff that's been happening to them. Or I'm seeing where other wrestlers are telling the stories for they even want to keep them anonymous because they've stayed quiet for so long because in this pro wrestling business, it's already hard enough for people to get in. It is like it is for most. Honestly, it's rough for women in most jobs to try to get in, and especially this male-dominated sport like pro wrestling. It's only recently that like it's more that women have been becoming more prominent in pro wrestling. There's all-female pro wrestling in Japan called Shimmer. There was one here in America that was like a splinter of them called Rise. I'm not sure if they're. I think they may have gone on a business because of the pandemic. But it's already like 10 to 100 times harder for a female wrestler to make it in this man's business. And it turns out a lot of them are forced to stay quiet because if they rat them out, or if they try to go to the police or something, they'll get drummed out of this business that, you know, the majority of these pro wrestlers, they're doing it because they love pro wrestling. And that's probably the thing that sucks the most. Like a lot of these females get into pro wrestling and then they get attacked by these kind of dudes. Like apparently with Joey Ryan's just going across the board doing this. And it's just horrifying. I see like these other there's this other pro wrestler I've been following. And he's been a really good Twitter follower. I wish I could remember his Twitter handle. His Twitter headline is just professional wrestler. It's Eric something, and he's a great follow. I found him through another pro wrestling journalist I follow, and he's like disgusted. He's like a father and a husband, and he's just disgusted. Like he was getting ready to retire recently, and the pandemic hit, and then he didn't get a chance to properly retire, so he was going to come back. And he was just saying like yesterday, he's like, I was ready to retire again, but you know, he got a DM from someone. He's like, thank you for, you know, I feel protected when you're around, because like this one guy is one of the good guys. There's still good guys out there, but unfortunately there's a lot of bad guys. And just seeing all these different stories of the good wrestlers, and then all the good wrestlers who are calling out the bad ones. And then these female wrestlers telling their stories, or saying how they can't, like they're like one wrestler's like, there's so many stories I can't even remember some of them, and it's just horrifying. I've been just pouring through Twitter, just shocked at the stuff I see, because there's a rising tide. It's really each one that comes out with their story inspires another one to like be a little more brave to tell their story, because a lot of these guys are being rooted out. Some of them are already, well, definitely in Joey Ryan's case, I'm heavily hitting him because he's like the worst of them all apparently, and yeah, he's shut down all his social media. His company has done, and a lot of the companies that he works with are saying, nope, we're never working with that guy again. That guy is never going to be allowed. Because he was like the de facto one of the biggest independent wrestlers. And I guess it makes sense now why he's never advanced past a certain point. And other wrestlers, like there's one guy, Joey Janela, has been calling him out. He's like, nope, I'm like, we've known this for a while. It was like, but it was like an open secret. No, like he's wrestling, he's Louis C.K. Everyone knew that he's a creep, but can't really say anything because he's a promoter too, and a lot of people don't want to lose their opportunities to make money, because he ran his bar wrestling on off days to get everyone extra money. I remember at a Lucha Vavoom show, like I had a conversation with him, because I wanted to book him for the East LA Cape, because he'd get a lot of people here. He was on Lucha Underground, like I had a conversation with him. I was like, we're trying to get you booked, and he's like, depending on what day of the week it is. If it was a Thursday, I'd give you my Thursday rate, but if it's a Saturday, I'd give you my Saturday rate. And I was like, so never mind then. And I remember it was just like a little odd interaction, but it was just like my wife and I thought, the few podcasts he would do, he always played down the fact, no, I'm not that creepy guy. I'm like, my real personality is the opposite. I'm very shy, and I'm very introverted. Apparently, that was a sham. Clearly, because of the detailed stories that women are telling about how you take advantage of the women wrestlers, take advantage of because a lot of times what people don't realize, a lot for these independent shows, like it relies on extra staff driving the wrestlers from the airport to the venue back and forth, because they're not on a loop, they're just flying in. Especially where Joey, like he was a draw, they pay to fly him in, and so that someone have to go pick him up. And if they happen to send a female, that female would potentially be in danger of him doing something. There was one story. There's one a girl who was helping out the promotion. Maybe she was a wrestler in training. I don't know the full story of her, but she had to go pick him up, and he was like feeling her up in the car and telling her to, like, grabbing her by the chest and reaching into her pants. And I was like, what the fuck? It's horrified. That's all I can gather from this. We have run the gamut of emotions here on this episode today, but my wife asked me, like, but please ask me to talk about this, especially we like this guy. We would say hi to him. We thought he was cool, and then you go on Twitter and you see people who like you don't know people, you don't know the people you work with. You're not around them all the time. Like all these wrestlers who would work bar wrestling, who would work championship wrestling from Hollywood, who worked, I would imagine Lucha Vavoom, because Lucha Vavoom was run by women. I can only imagine how horrified they are at all this stuff. It's a terrible situation. And the only positive is that all these horrible people are being exposed for who they are now. And then hopefully this scares the others out of the business, and it scares other people into thinking twice. So it's like you can't just take advantage of women and expect them to just take the abuse and not say anything. Because I think he really counted the psychological ways, like, because some of the women described how, like, he trapped a woman in Joey Ryan trapped a woman in a bathroom. He trapped a woman in the bathroom, and like she wouldn't come out, and then he's like, and he starts going, "Oh no, I have issues. Oh no, please, you have to come out. I'm gonna kill myself." He starts playing mind games and trying to make them feel sorry for him. And he's a manipulative asshole. It's disgusting to hear these stories, and then it's too many. Especially in his case, it's too many for it to not be true. It can't be a coincidence that 15 separate women have detailed accounts of this type of behavior across years, not just recently. Like, he put out some lame statement on Twitter saying, "Oh, he was going through a divorce, and he's seen a therapist, and he knows he has a problem." But there's stuff that even goes back to, it's not that recent. Like, "Oh, you're going to therapy and you're still doing this stuff." Yeah, and then I know you sent me some articles, and we talked about today. Like, there's all these streamers, all these all over the place who are doing scummy stuff like that, where they communicate with they take advantage of the if there's a whatever female fans exist in the streaming, they take advantage of them and and then like badger them for nude pictures, or if they can get so far to meet up with them and take advantage of them. It's horrifying. This is happening all over the place. But I'm speaking from what I've been researching for the last 72 hours, all over Twitter, and seeing this stuff as it continues to develop. I'm a big wrestling fan, and I keep seeing all this stuff, and it makes me sick to my stomach, and I have to talk about it, because we can't, like, recently, all these episodes. Remember, Black Lives still matter. Just because it's not trending anymore doesn't mean that it's over. We still have to keep supporting Black people, and everyone who's freaking. We have to support women. We have to support Black. The days of people being taken advantage of. Like, now, thanks to technology, we can expose people for who they are. They can't keep hiding behind the power structure of how everything works, where a small amount of people have the most power and can take advantage of everyone who can't fight back. Now, I think people are realizing that all the victims, that there's more victims than there are abusers, and if everyone stands up together, we can defy them, and that's what's important. That's why, like, we have to bring up and talk about these uncomfortable things. I know years ago I used to say this show was supposed to be an escape, but we can't escape our problems. We have to face them head on. We can't we can't turn a blind eye. You know, in pro wrestling, apparently a lot of people were just turning a blind eye out of inability to make change. Because I'm sure there's a lot of good people who knew things were happening, but they couldn't say anything because they couldn't jeopardize their own financial well-being. They couldn't jeopardize their own families. Like, if I speak out, I'm not gonna get hired. I'm not gonna get booked here. I'm gonna lose opportunities, and then I'm gonna taking food off my family's plate. So I feel like but now that everyone's standing up more. You have to. There has to be more unification against all the forms of evil that we're up against. If you understand what I mean. That's the end of the episode. You guys know all the details. Yeah. Follow me on Twitter if you want to see me argue with racists and homophobes and sexist men. You want to see me argue with them? At DreGP Podcast. Follow us, you know, all the plugs. Every time I do one of these episodes, I feel I can't do plugs. I'm like, no, it's just dirty. But if you want to see me take on, I was arguing with someone today about wrestling on Twitter, and I was telling them, like, if you don't see the hypocrisy of this stuff, then I can't explain. If you need me to explain this hypocrisy, then you're never going to understand it. It's just yeah, they can call me an SJW. I'm not a social justice warrior. I'm a person who fights for what's right at the end of the day. And if that costs me listens or whatever, it doesn't matter, as long as I'm getting a positive message out there to the people who want to hear it and the people who are willing to hear it. All right, we're wrapping this up. You guys have yourselves a good night. We'll be back next week. Let's hope the world is a less shitty place. I mean, if shitty things happen, we're gonna have to talk about them here. Yeah, this is our platform. Have yourselves a good night. We'll see you next week.